Hello, friends. I'm Nick Roush. He's Adam Luckett. This is 11 Personnel. We are live at SEC Media Days, where we are at a fancy schmancy place today. Thanks to Friends of Cole, their power, and our trip down here to Atlanta to hang out with the best and the brightest of the SEC. And here at the College Football Hall of Fame, Microsoft and Xbox, they've got a gaming hub. So the museum is down right now, but on a normal day when it's open, you got 5 Xboxes you can hook up and you can play a little ball. It's pretty neat, right, Luckett?
And they got the cords, old school. Like, that's my heyday with the cords on the remotes.
Where you pull the remote and then it just, the whole console comes out.
Fun times.
Oh, or we had the PlayStation and you'd wrap the controller and then the wires would get all frayed and you might kill somebody. That was killer. Today was not killer. I guess it was a killer good day. Killer fine day.
It was fine.
Yeah, just fine at SEC Media Days. The anticipation is certainly bubbling with me and Adam Luckett. I don't know if you can tell.
Let me just ask you this, like, where does this rank in the echelon of Nick Roush SEC Media Days podcast experience? Because you were having some conversation with some people last night about, like, this has been pretty tame or boring. Because I kind of have a theory on this.
Okay. Because it has been from a news standpoint and even a fun standpoint, very light at SEC Media Days on storylines.
I think, or I'm of the opinion at least, that spring meetings has kind of taken over, like, all the juice. Spring meetings has all the juice now.
Yeah.
With this kind of off-season kind of big event. And I think we're in a time where what really matters, and I think what has staying power in a lot of ways, is kind of the off-field stuff or the future stuff, like the playoff format, whether SEC is going to play 8 games, 9 games, yada, 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 and all that in NIL, and what we're doing with the transfer portal moving forward. And it feels like they had all the fireworks at spring meetings, and it's been kind of tame here.
Well, and that makes sense, at least in the here and now, and who knows when it will stabilize. But that probably is the case for the next couple of years. Still doesn't mean I don't like coming down here, because you get to see everybody, you get to talk to people. We get to talk to a lot of them last night. Maybe we'll touch on that in a moment. But from a purely, it's good that we're going to hear from Stoops and all of the Kentucky Wildcats for the first time in months. But when you kind of go around the league, it's just, I guess, DJ Lagway said, I don't have a prosthetic arm, so.
Yeah, the one thing I think this year this is probably the most QB star power since I've been coming to this that they've had. I mean, they've had, like, legit stars at QB with Lagway, John Mateer today, Arch, obviously.
Right.
Diego Pavia Monday. So they've had a lot of. Lenore Sellers was here. Nussmeier.
And that is, I think if you look at the league and generally speaking, and that's what always would annoy me about the conversation about the selection committee doesn't value the strength of schedule and da-da-da-da-da. Some of it is the SEC had bad quarterback play last year. It was down. I mean, the guy who got taken first in the draft out of all the SEC quarterbacks, the second one overall, just had a complete meltdown at Florida in Jackson Tarp. Jalen Milroe, that dude was so week to week that you didn't know what you were going to get. So this year, the quarterback play should be much better. Now, if you were to say, all right, how many of these guys, I think at least 2 from this league will be at the Heisman ceremony. That's my spicy take.
Your bold take?
That's because Nussmeier, I can guarantee it, he's going to put up the numbers where even if he's not, LSU isn't winning enough for him to win it, he's going to be there. Well, but then you look around and it's like an Arch or a Lagway has a big year. One of those two, they're going to be in it.
Yeah, I look at it this way, like, Sellers is probably going first round. Yeah. Nussmeier has a big year. He's probably going first round. So you've got 2 first-round guys, and then you have 2 more in the year right behind them, I think. Like, I'm of the opinion Arch Manning will stay for 2 years, and he'll probably be a first-rounder when he comes out. And Lagway, as long as the injury stuff stays away, will probably be first-rounder when he comes out. So, like, they have legitimate star power at quarterback, and that kind of gets us into kind of some of the conversations we've had with other people about, like, what exactly is Kentucky getting? Yeah. What do people know that covered Calzada? Like, what is kind of the story there?
Let's talk about it. First things first, though, I'm going to tell you about our friends at Monticello Bank, proud presenting sponsors of 11 Personnel. They've been with us for a long time. They've been with the state of Kentucky for a long time. The Commonwealth, they will help build your wealth, because that's where people matter at Monticello Bank. Check out their rates, whether you're looking for a house or opening up a home equity line of credit. Monticello Bank, they can take care of you. They got branches all across the state, and they're conveniently found online at nbcbank.com. Monticello Bank, where people matter. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. I could use Monticello Bank. I could get the mobile app, and I could go to nbcbank.com.
Cool game room like this, you would need a house.
Right.
To get a house, you would have to go to find folks like at Monticello Bank.
Exactly. And I could bank online in Bryan College Station, but I'm not boots on the ground like some of the other people are. So I've talked to some people who had boots on the ground, and the folks who cover Texas, they always kind of liked him from afar because he's a good story to root for, as this 3-star guy who got called in after Haynes King gets injured, leads them to a game-winning drive. They beat Colorado, and then they were ranked 15th in the country up to the last week of the regular season. I was counting up today, I think he would have been starting for he was 7-2 going into that game as their starter, as their primary quarterback. They were 8-3 overall. They win that game, they're 9-3. They're playing in the Citrus Bowl. LSU upsets them. They score with 20 seconds on the clock to beat them. But part of the first thing one guy asked was, so how's the touch passes? Because he would sometimes put a little bit too much extra mustard on them, and I was like, well, that still might be a little bit of a thing.
Yeah, and it's also, we don't know because we really haven't.
Yeah, we've only seen him throw like a couple of times in a very limited fashion. But that's just something you need to keep an eye on. Like, we could have another Will Levis situation where sometimes the touch isn't quite always there. So that's just something to keep an eye on. But what I found to be interesting is, and I think it's going to end up being a bigger theme for this entire team of seemingly outcasts who are kind of getting one more shot at Kentucky, is he felt very disrespected and underappreciated at A&M because they don't beat Alabama without him, right? Like, they won a lot of big games because of him. And so what happens, the end of the season comes up, Haynes King's coming back from injury. They got 5-star Connor Wegman coming in, a Texas kid, Texas guy that, during the middle of the season, if Calzada's struggling, A&M fans, at least we'll have Wegman next year. And then what do? They go and they're getting Max Johnson out of the portal. Basically, thanks for everything you did. See ya. Here's the door. So I do think there is, even though Kentucky's not playing Texas A&M, there's a certain amount of, I need to prove that I'm good enough to be here and do this, because what happens when he goes to Auburn? His offensive coordinator quit within 2 weeks?
Yeah.
And just up and quit. And I forget, there was some dumb Auburn stuff going on there.
It was the Harsin era. I mean, that's been documented, how that was kind of crazy.
Yeah. So that happens. The guy who recruits him there leaves. Then he gets injured in spring practice and just never plays it down. So the motivated Mark Stoops bit, it's a bit. But for these guys, like, if you want to build a culture like it, Mark Stoops is going to say culture. I'm going to set the over-under at 12 times tomorrow. And we're probably hitting that over. But if you're going to rebuild a culture, you have to do it by getting guys who not only are on the same page, but play with that chip on their shoulder mentality. And there's a lot of guys out there who they're going to have that chip, and it starts with their quarterback.
Yeah, I think, yes. And I think that was why they decided to go that direction when they were doing their portal evaluations, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think they liked that he had been through some wars and that they knew there was a player that had experience and had been through some adversity in his career.
Yeah.
Where I think, like, that was a problem last year. Like, just a team in general.
Correct.
That did not handle adversity well. This program in general has not handled adversity well really since probably 2022. And so getting a guy like that who's got some level of talent, when you talk about being able to throw it, I think Jordan Rogers had the quote where, like, if he threw the ball through a car wash, it wouldn't get wet. Like, he's got that kind of power in his arm. So we'll see how it all kind of plays out. Just like with a lot of portal additions. Like, these are flawed players, right?
Yeah.
I mean, dealing with any type of recruiting, you're dealing with a prospect that's flawed. It's like, can you improve that flaw, or can you kind of scheme around that flaw or those flaws?
Well, and the big plus that I heard today, it's not something that I've heard about a Kentucky quarterback since Steven Johnson was there. And Calzada's a guy I like to compare to Steven Johnson for the intangible reasons. But chatting with Cole Kublik, great conversation we had that's on the KSR YouTube channel. It's live right now. He noted that, because he kept going back to, like, saying Bush Hamdan. Like, I know Bush Hamdan's going to work. Bush Hamdan's going to work. But part of the reason why he thinks it's going to work is because, in his words, Kentucky's had a lot of one-read quarterbacks in recent years. Guys who weren't able to see the defense, know the whole field, really understand what's going on, right? Where you're not kind of, and able to process it quickly and get the ball out of your hands and get the ball to where it needs to be. And, that even goes back to Levis, where it worked with Liam Cohen because Cohen's a great play caller, put him in positions to succeed. You saw that processor kind of jam up when Rich Scangarello came to town. And so I like the idea that at least a guy like Cole, who studies a lot of tape, who does his homework, is like, all right, Calzada, he's seen it all, and you aren't going to have to worry about him in this offense being limited, right? Like, where Bush Hamdan can call the offense he wants to call and let it flow, because that was the big take, right? Last year, it was Bush's hands are tied. It doesn't sound like his hands are going to be tied this year.
Yeah, I mean, that was part of the sell, I think, with Mark Stoops, and you heard him talk about it during the season. I think, not to put words in Cole's mouth, but at least my takeaway of that statement was that he's probably not. There's reasons to believe, like last year, shouldn't be a true indictment on him as an offensive coordinator. Mm-hmm. Like, he's proven that he's been able to build some offenses. Now, it's small sample size. The 2 years at Washington, which were like a decade ago now, and then the 1 year run at Boise State, and then the kind of weird taking over play calling at the end of the season for 3 games at Missouri. So that's different, and I think it kind of highlights for me. He got to pick this roster. This is a Bush Hamdan offense. Mm-hmm. Like, they're going to start 7 transfers, 8 transfers. Like, this is very much kind of his offense. And so you've kind of got to make it work. And we're going to see, like we've talked about, how big of a year this is, I think, for Hamdan, not only this year, but, kind of moving forward for him in his career. And so we'll see what they can do. You worry about the star power, I think, when you look at Kentucky's offense. But if they fix the offensive line, they can probably carve out some level of competent play on that side of the football. And we'll have to see. I do think, Cole, it was interesting to point out, that very much like it's a pro-style offense. Mm-hmm. You're going to have to make reads. You're going to have to go through progressions. They're going to have some half-field reads. They're going to go mix in some tempo, mix in some RPOs, but they're going to get under center, run hard play action, turn your back to the defense, and you're going to have to make true full-field reads in an offense. And that's something Kentucky has, for better or worse, they have tied themselves to.
Yeah.
And so can you get the quarterback, and can a quarterback succeed in your system playing like that? And do you have the pieces around him, from offensive line protection to can the receivers get open and can they make plays? And so it's all got to come together. It's not, to me, it's almost not just the quarterback. It's everything together.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just a quarterback issue with Kentucky. Obviously, we know the offensive line, but there was a receiver issue. There was tight end issues. It was across the board. And so they collectively have to get more on a string and execute together to give themselves a chance to have success.
Part of the one thing he said when he noted about the offense and the wide zone is you wonder how many times is that hit a square peg in a round hole?
Yeah, how many times? Well, I think at Missouri, and less so at Boise State and less so at Washington, it was a staple. That's Eli Drinkowitz's offense. Yeah. Stretch zone, stretch zone, stretch zone. It's a more stretch zone. Where this is a little bit different, but he's been different. Like Chris Peterson is not like some stretch zone merchant when he was at Washington and Boise State.
Yeah, I could see a scenario, though, where McGowan has enough juice and vision to be able to to operate well out of that, to be able to create some explosive plays out of it. Now, how good is the offensive line at getting lateral, and that's a question we have, especially when Jalen Farmer is such a good road grader going north-south. So, like, as much as you liked what you saw them do with what they could in the portal this offseason in the offensive line, that's still, when the day starts, we got to see it, right? We got to see it.
And I think a bigger thing, I think Brock Vandegrift there was confidence, lack of confidence, I think, from the inexperience, new place, new weapons, playing for a coordinator he didn't commit to play for. Where now Calzada, it's different. Bush Hamden was part of the recruiting process, knows what you're going to get, and it's his last ride. He's got the experience, and he comes off as a guy that has a lot of confidence. It may be like, I think we still don't really know him that well, but from afar, it gives off a guy like, wow, he's really got a lot of confidence.
Yeah.
And I think that is something they probably needed as a program to have, because I think that's something they were missing. They've been missing on offense.
No, you need a guiding light at quarterback, and it's one thing to, that doesn't mean you have to be a rah-rah guy necessarily, but you do have to be somebody that can inspire the troops or can rally the teammates around them to play above their head. So we'll see how it all unfolds. We have 6 weeks or so until kickoff. I believe it's 48 days.
Yeah, like 12 days, so 2 weeks till camp.
Yeah.
They'll be at camp. Camp will be starting.
It'll be here before you know it. Mark Stoops is going to speak tomorrow. We're going to preview it shortly. But first, I need to tell you about our friends at Optimal Living Services. They partner with clients to increase their awareness of issues, and it empowers you and gives skills to manage these challenges. At Optimal Living Services, we believe that every individual has obstacles they will need to face, and that the services of our team will provide and give hope to all of our clients. Optimal Living Services, you can get a hold of them at 859-785-1030. You can learn more at optimallivingservices.com. Every individual has the ability to grow from their problems, whether it's substance abuse, mental health, work, finance, emotional struggles, whatever it may be. Optimal Living Services can be here. They can partner with you to help you grow, to live a more optimal life at optimallivingservices.com, or by giving them a call at 859-785-1030. We are going to be living our optimal life tomorrow morning at SEC Media Days when the Kentucky football team arrives. I'm very much looking forward to it, because you come here, like the other days, they're fun. You can find fun stuff to do, people to talk to. But we're here to talk to the team.
Yeah, that's the reason we come. Yes.
That's the reason we're here. We're here to talk to the team. So it's finally here. I wish, ideally, your team's here on Tuesday or Wednesday, so you kind of have the other days to fill in the blanks, and then you can kind of do the come down. Now I'm like, all right, just get me to the Cats. I just want to talk about the Cats. So I'm fired up. I'm excited. You mentioned it yesterday, Luckett. Mark Stoops didn't want to make a headline this offseason. What is the headline that Mark Stoops is going to make Thursday in Atlanta?
Do I have to say it?
Say it.
I'm motivated. I mean, it's got to be. One way or the other, that, like, how he kind of addresses that, I think, is probably going to be what people are most interested in. After that, I think, when you really get into it, I think, like, do we hear any more about the culture reset and what went into that, and the Vince stuff? Yeah,
the Vince stuff is going to be whenever we get done talking to him, that's going to be the first thing that's getting posted on KSR, just because it needs to be out there. I'm curious if Josh Caddis, I'm sure they're told to play nice, and I know that there's, like, if Caddis needs something, he can hit up Vince. I'm sure a lot of those guys still have a good enough relationship in that regard, but you also got to really want to kick that guy's ass now. Like that, you went to Louisville. I hope we get some of that out of both of them, the head coach too, because, and I know Mark, they go way back, but at some point, he'll get asked that question multiple times. I hope there is some person in the SEC media who has the wherewithal to know that was a big deal around Kentucky and ask him there, because that's probably where you'll get the best answer out of him, where he's played nice, answering it a few times, and then he gets in there and then just throws a barb, and it's on SEC Network, and so it gets a bigger life. So that's what I'm at least hoping for tomorrow. And I do hope that he plays coy with the motion.
Was it at the stage where he said anyone could have coached that offensive line after Wolford left? I believe that's where that was.
Yeah, I think you're right. Because, you get up there, you want to be a stand-up comedian, and usually he's got one quip or two, and it doesn't always hit. Sometimes it falls flat.
No one hits 1,000, so.
No, not at all. There's SEC Mike. Should go beat him up later.
Do you think I'm surprised we haven't heard the C coach storyline from him yet.
Oh yeah,
seen him a couple times. And surprised it hasn't come up yet.
Got the D- coach yet?
Yeah.
Shocking that we haven't got it from SEC Mike. But I noted this. I wrote about it today as sort of a big preview of what's to come, without getting into storylines, top storylines at SEC Media Days. Most of it's just noting that whenever Kentucky comes here, it's changed Mark Stoops' career at Kentucky. 2018, they show up. It's a Benny Snell show. They have the best season they've had in 40 years. They were the plucky underdog that was rising to the top. Mm-hmm. In 22, they come here, and they aren't the plucky underdog. In fact, they're the fun wild card team. And everybody wants to talk to Will Levis. He's the darling who's eating the bananas with the peels on it. And he's got the mayo coffee. Kentucky got picked to finish second in the East that year. This is the highest they've ever been picked to finish in any one of these polls. And what happened? Sunglass Gate happens. And I know that you can pinpoint wherever you want in that season where things started to spiral. Levis getting hurt at Ole Miss, you lose that game. The next week, Beamer throws on the sunglasses after celebrating him. That was his first signature win. Top 25 win on the road. He's celebrating with his shades on. And things have really spiraled since. So it's a tale of 2 tenures, right? In the before and the after. And now you arrive and you are at a crossroads where does the downward spiral continue, or does motivated Mark Stoops turn things around? And I think he's attempting to turn things around by going back to what made him successful, and that is the hard-nosed underdog that doesn't take no you-know-what from anybody and is going to fight with you in the trenches. I think that's the goal, is let's get back to what we did well and let's not get distracted by all the other stuff.
Yeah, I think we've talked about this. You can see the vision, like what his vision is. It's to play rock'em sock'em robot football, control the game, dictate the terms of the game, and create as many 21 to 17 rock fights as you can in these conference games and against Louisville, and to win. You're win more than you lose, and if you do that, you're probably going to a bowl game, and you're probably overachieving expectations for this year. But can they do that? Like, aren't they good enough on the line of scrimmage to do that? That's the big question.
Right.
That's where they spent all their money.
Yeah.
That's where if you had a pie chart, right, where the funds are going, that's where they spent the money. That's what they invested in.
Offensive and defensive line.
Right. So how does that play out over a season? We're gonna find out. To me, I think overall an interesting thing that I came out from for the day was Jeff Lebby was talking, Mississippi State, second-year head coach. And I've kind of like what Stoops is trying to do almost feels like what a new coach would do. And if you didn't know what Stoops sounded like and you had a blindfold on, but you read about the team and you follow him and you just follow it that way, you would have thought that was Mark Stoops up there talking. 50 new players, 80% of the roster are in their first or second year in the program. That's Kentucky.
That's crazy.
Had a really disappointing first season, looking to have like a bounce back, and we're doing it through kind of our portal evaluation. That's Kentucky. Kentucky and Mississippi State are doing the same thing. And that's not necessarily it for Kentucky. When you have like an established coach here, that's not the team you want to sound the most alike. But that's the team, when a coach is up there talking, that's who sounded most alike to me, listening to all these teams this week.
Oh, yeah, the accent definitely different. Lebby, it's what is this?
He's bigger than you think he is, too.
Yeah. He's a big old boy. But because it's not Mississippi quite, but it's still country, and it's just not like anything I've ever heard before. So, did any other coaches or players or anything jump out to you today? Mine was seeing John Mateer because you know that Mateer, he's a great runner. That's definitely going to be a part of his game this year at Oklahoma. But he's not the biggest guy, but he's pretty stout. He looks like a defensive player. I think you said he was more like a safety than a quarterback. So that kind of surprised me a little bit. That's, to get back to your star power quarterback, like I think he's going to be one of the better ones in the league. Trying to think, Billy Napier, that guy's boring.
Well, one thing Napier did say today was basically like the Kentucky game was like their launching point for last year.
Yeah.
That's when it turned for them. And that's when they really started to buy in. And that's also when Kentucky's season completely fell off the rails.
Yeah.
The week after the Vanderbilt loss.
Oh,
so man. It's a tale of two programs, right? Like Florida just hits another gear and they find something. They've got Lagway. All the guys in that building start to believe in what they're doing. And Kentucky, it's the opposite. no one seems to believe, and it seemed like they had some splintering.
Yeah. That was a game I'd rather forget.
And that's how quickly some of these things can change, because heading into that Kentucky game, the week before they lost to Tennessee close, but everyone thought Billy Napier was getting fired. There was some speculation that he probably should be fired right now, that they should just make the move. And then it flips like that. So kind of comparing like the South Carolina, the tale of two programs, like South Carolina gets that win in 2022, and then you see where these programs have gone. It's kind of like similar there to me, because Kentucky had owned Florida until that point here in recent seasons.
Yeah.
So can they have their flip? I turn it on this. Can they have their flip moment this year? And where does it come?
My thought has been that it's that Ole Miss game in week 2. And a lot of it's based on what Ole Miss lost, and then they're bringing in a first-time starting quarterback.
I would say this, though, Nick. That's true, and they need to win a game early, but they also need to show some fight in November. I look at that Florida game at home, that's a big game. Winning one of those games late to show that you're still battling, because
taking out Pavia, fighting fire with fire.
Well, after how they let go of the rope last year, right? And now, because losses are going to come at some point for this team this year.
Well, and in November is the lighter part of the schedule.
Yeah.
If you're going to be that hard-nosed football team that has seemingly some decent depth, then November is where you should be able to
and
have an edge.
Just from the aspect of continuing Kentucky football, continuing the Stoops era, you need to show some improvement year over year. And you can't just have I don't think you can afford to have a big fade late. You need to show some some momentum and some in-house development of some of your younger pieces.
There's no question about it. We also got to see Kalen DeBoer's bald head. He looks like a chia pet. I can say that because I look like a chia pet too. Just Kalen DeBoer, it's time to come home. One more thing before we leave. I hope I didn't completely ruin Kentucky Sports Radio's reputation, because I had a moment today. It wasn't my best moment. It wasn't good, because Randall Cobb, SEC Network analyst, he was on the dais at the start of the day, and it just so happened that I was walking towards my table when I believe it was Venables was going up to talk. So all the guys up there, they get down, they've got 20, 30 minutes, go get something to eat, whatever. So Randall Cobb's heading out, and we spoke before last year at Media Days. Obviously, he's just the nicest guy ever. So, he see a somewhat familiar face, go to talk to me. It was great, the start, right? Shake his hands, oh man, love seeing you on TV, how'd it go? And he's like, yeah, I liked it, but he's said he's going to do a little bit less this year, because he wants to spend more Saturdays at Kroger Field. He wants to be around the Kentucky football program more, which I think's great. I think that should be music to all Big Blue Nation's ears. But, we had to go our separate ways. He's planning on hanging out with us and chatting a little bit tomorrow. But as we were leaving, he went to give the that, and I went to do the this. And the worst part, and even to his credit, he did the quick change up, he quickly altered to that.
Quick twitch athlete.
But then I realized too, oh my God, what have I done? And then so but I have to play it off, and then so I give him like the tap on the back, like, yeah. So I gave like the second part of the dap.
That's the save. The save is if you can pull him in and just give the goal like the half hug.
And that's kind of, I just tried to save it real quick, like, yeah. And then I got the hell out of there as fast as I could, which I could have played it worse. I think the best way in that situation, though, correct me if I'm wrong, is just take a step back and say, all right, let's do that again. And then you do the strong tap up, and that's how you save face. But instead, I was just
honestly
I had to get out of there.
The fist thing has ruined everything because it's hard to read, and if you don't know the person, like which one you're going to go to.
Yeah, and that's the other deal too.
Why don't we get rid of the fist? Let's just all go to the normal slap hands.
I embarrassed the organization in front of Randall Cobb, and I apologize. I let everyone down. I let you down. I let Peak down. I let the entire Kentucky Sports Radio organization down. I got to make up for it tomorrow. You know what? If we sit down with Randall Cobb for an interview, it's going to have the best freaking dap up you've ever seen in your life. You can count on it.
Nick's going to practice in the mirror tonight, dapping himself up.
It's been fun here at day 3 at SEC Media Days in Atlanta. We're happy to be here thanks to our friends of Cole. Tomorrow it's Kentucky Day. We'll be speaking with Mark Stoops starting at 8:30 in the morning. We'll have a live blog up and running. Updates on KS Board. Lots of stuff coming to the KSR YouTube channel. Stoops will be speaking at 10:50. It's going to be a big day. It's going to be a lot of fun. Are you ready for all the content, Luckett? You here?
This is why they pay us the big bucks to come here for these marathon days. It's also good training. It just gets the body right for the season.
Oh yeah.
This is like back in our season groove a little bit. So yeah, definitely excited to get this going. And once this is over, Nick, it's we shift pretty quickly into training camp mode, and then before you know it, college football will be here. Can't wait.
We cannot wait. We appreciate you joining us today on 11.